Hello, everyone. My name is Pamela Kinsey. I'm the nurse practitioner here at Willow Valley Communities. Thank you for joining us today for the COVID-19 briefing. As we do with each briefing, we'll begin with a look at our data for COVID-19 here in Lancaster County. As you can see, the CDC has community transmission rate remaining at a high level. Again, this is how we determine the PPE protocols for our supportive living buildings. As we look at the community COVID-19 levels, we can see that for the general community, we are at a low level, which means our healthcare system is able to treat cases as needed if hospitalization is required. When we look at the Lancaster County curve, we can see an improvement on our daily average number of cases. We are now at 85. 1 month ago, we were at 125 for the daily average. So that is an improvement. When we look at the Pennsylvania curve, and again, this is measured now in the total number of cases identified in a single week. We are at 11,000 cases that were identified in the most recent week that has been recorded. And this also is an improvement from where we were 1 month ago. It is about 3,500 individuals less. So we are seeing improved numbers of case counts. When we look at the Omicron variant, here in this region of the United States, we can see that the XBB variant is now 59.7% of the cases that we are seeing. The BQ1.1 and the BQ1 also are in the top 3 different variants that are present here in our region. When we look again at the case average, and this is a weekly case count average in the United States, we are seeing improvement there as well. There are 332,000 cases that were identified in the most recent week across the United States. When we look at hospitalizations, we are slightly improved here. There are 4,354 individuals that required hospitalization on average in the last 7 days, and that is an improvement of about 500 from when we discussed this in December. When we look at the number of COVID-related deaths across the United States, we are seeing, and if you look on the far right of this graph, you can see in recent weeks there is an increase in the number of deaths. So we are currently just under 4,000 individuals that have passed away from COVID-19 in the most recent recorded week. When we look here on our own campuses, we can see that currently we have 49 residents with active cases of COVID-19. Those residents are residing throughout our community. In the Manor building, we have 6. In the North building, there are 3. Providence Park has 1 individual. On the Lakes campus, in the Lakes building, there are 7. In Willow Gables, there is 1. When we move to supportive living, we can see that the Glen PC has 1 individual, and the Glen Skilled Care now has 30 individuals. And we will speak about that in a little more depth in a few minutes. When we move to our team members, we currently have 17 individuals that have active COVID-19. So when you look at total cases across both the individuals that live here and work here at Willow Valley Communities, we currently have 66 active cases. As we do each week again, we will remind you that we are going to continue offering activities and events here on campus. We would ask you to make a personal risk mitigation decision that supports your personal health condition as to whether or not you wish to engage in those campus activities. So some COVID-19 questions. First, we'll look at some trending. I often am asked about how are we doing overall. When you look back to May of 2022, on this graph, which is represented on the far left, we can see currently here in January, the independent living residents have increased slightly from the fall, but remain stable over recent weeks in their case count. When we compare supportive living and independent living, you can see, as we just spoke of, there is an increase in the number in our supportive living buildings. And when we look at team members, we can see that we are fairly consistent with our inconsistency there. Looking at all three of those numbers together, you can see that independent living is represented in blue, supportive living in red, and team members in green. So our current case counts, when we look at the Glen, we are aware that many individuals on the dementia unit have encountered the COVID-19 virus. As you know, when someone has dementia, it is very difficult for us to get those preventative measures to be consistent among that group of individuals. We also know that they, as part of their daily routine, are often wandering on the unit. These individuals are responding well to the antiviral treatments that have been ordered for them as part of their recovery plan. We also know that at the Glen currently, there are several independent living residents that have COVID-19. So they encountered the virus out in the community. Many have required hospitalization, and then several have required health care at the Glen following. Sadly, we do need to report that one of our residents has passed away in recent days from COVID-19. That resident previously resided in an apartment in our independent living area. The ACIP, or the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, is scheduled to meet in the month of February. During this meeting, the committee will discuss COVID-19 vaccines. We anticipate that from that, we will receive additional guidance on vaccination schedules and updates that they recommend to the composition or the makeup of that vaccine. Currently, as a reminder, to be up to date, you should have had your primary series plus the bivalent vaccine. So the bivalent vaccine right now, you are required to have just one dose. So if you received your booster from any time from September of 22 forward till today, then you are currently considered up to date. We have had several residents ask us if they require an additional booster. And at this time, it is not required if you've had the bivalent. Please also remember that the COVID-19 vaccine and the bivalent booster is now available to anyone 6 months and older. Again, a quick reminder that there are additional home tests available to us. They are free. Go to the website that you'll see here, thecovidtests.gov. As we know, our Willow Valley residents are challenged with all having similar or the same addresses, and a postal inquiry will get you the necessary, or is the necessary step to get you those COVID tests. Again, a quick reminder, supportive living continues to require screening prior to entry. A mask is also required during your visit. Additional PPE may be needed during any outbreak within that building. This means you may be asked to wear a gown, gloves, or encouraged to wear a different type of mask. So please be aware of that as you enter supportive living. Our goal is to keep you protected as well as our residents. Again, if you have symptoms of COVID-19, please test. We would ask that you wear a mask, especially if you have symptoms. If you have a known high-risk exposure, also encouraging you to test 5 days after that known exposure. If you are diagnosed with COVID-19, then please isolate, stay at home to recover. This protects other individuals. And sadly, we have received reports that there has been some non-compliance with this, where individuals that are diagnosed, have symptoms of COVID-19, are moving about on our campuses freely, both moving freely as well as not wearing a mask as they are out and about. So please, we encourage you to protect each other. Remain isolated. If you absolutely must go out, then please wear a mask to protect others. We do have a bivalent vaccine clinic coming on February 15th. That will be held at the Cultural Center, and you may call the number listed here in order to get an appointment for that bivalent vaccine clinic. And again, if you've already had 1 dose of bivalent, you are considered up to date. Testing center at the Mylan House remains open on Tuesdays and Thursdays for independent living residents. Though if you have COVID symptoms, please call residential nursing to schedule your testing. The Willow Valley resident intranet has the details of that testing center. The final broadcast of the COVID-19 briefing will be January 26th. We are excited to move into a new broadcast we will call Health and Wellness Matters. There will be a special edition on February 9th where Brian Rudder and I will talk about the Health and Wellness Matters, give you a new update on the nurse practitioner office, and then we're excited to see that on February 26th, we will actually have a new format to our broadcast. The Weekly Insider will provide you additional details on a schedule. So our closing thoughts as we end the COVID-19 briefing series is Happy New Year. Thank heavens we're in 2023. And we thank you for all of your work to protect each other from COVID-19. And thank you for joining us today, and have a good day.